Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the three hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster, you know, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello, this is Aaron West. I am the author of the A24 New Wave. In this book, I look at A24's output, and I make the argument that we are in a new wave movement right now. A24 plays a major role. This book has a supplemental podcast where each episode is a brief conversation about an A24-related topic, whether an actor, director, or even a genre. As I continue research for the book and conduct interviews, I expect to record podcast episodes with people involved with the company. You can find the podcast at cinejourneys.com or wherever you find podcasts, and we are proud to be members of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Welcome to the Kulturecast. I'm Chris Stachiw, and I'm joined by half of the one-season show, Jess, Byard.
Hello.
So, we were actually talking about this off podcast, but I think we should kind of mention it. We are talking superlatives. We mentioned it on the last podcast. We're doing it on this podcast.
The Kulturecast Award Show.
The Kulturecast Award Show. Brought to you by Go Fuck Yourself. Brought to you by Go and Fuck Yourself. We're going to be talking about some best, worst, biggest, not worst, but biggest letdown, because we're not here to rag on people. We're not that kind of podcast. We're here to talk about some kind of, some big ups, downs, left, right, favorite sequels, maybe some things that aren't movies, for those of you that are here for that, which, why would you be here? You're just getting to hear about it. So.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, because we're doing it differently this year, a bit.
Yes.
We're focusing on things, instead of doing just like, everybody does a best of 2019 and then they just list things that came out in 2019. But if you didn't hear the last episode, we decided that we were going to do things that we saw in 2019, not necessarily things that came out in 2019. So these lists are going to be vastly different for the most part from... Yeah. Well, at least I think mine is, maybe. We're going to be... Our
letdowns might be the same.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think, maybe a couple things will have 2019, on them. But pretty much everything else on my list is pre-2019, so...
Right. I agree 100%. So, without further ado, which is a really shitty way of saying, let's get the fuck on with this, Jess, let us start at the bottom of our collective lists. And let's talk about something that you finally, in all caps, you finally watched in 2019.
Yeah, I decided to throw this one on here today when I was finishing this list because, as, I've watched so many movies in the, short time, I guess, that I've, comparatively speaking, that I've been watching movies.
Damn, bro, flex. I got you, flex. Give it a little bit of a flex, okay.
But it's amazing how much stuff is still, I hadn't seen or haven't seen,
Sure.
A lot of that's a blind spot as far as, classics and all that go, pre-1970s filmmaking, basically. But yeah, actually, I said that, and then all these things that I listed were after the 60s, but whatever. I did finally watch a few things. One we'll probably talk about more at length later, so I'll bring that up.
Or we've already talked about it at length on another podcast.
Very much so. But the two probably big ones that I watched this year that are, on, many, many lists of many fantastic movies. And that would be Lawrence of Arabia and All That Jazz. Lawrence of Arabia is it's an epic. And I mean, it's one of those movies from that era that is, it's a 3-hour-long movie. It's shot in super wide CinemaScope. It's shot in beautiful Technicolor. And I had just never gotten around to it on the sheer fact that it's a 3-hour-long movie. And sometimes, it's, I can sit there and watch 3 hours of a TV show, but for some reason, 3 hours of one movie escapes me many times. But I finally got to watch this, and I mean, it's, Lawrence of Arabia is a technical achievement, for one, filmmaking-wise. It's gorgeous. And everyone, Omar Sharif and, Peter O'Toole. Jeez.
I was about to say, did you watch the movie?
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Peter Fondos. That's not a real person.
Hey, we established in the last podcast that I suck with names. And
that's right. McClunky, everyone. McClunky.
But, it's a gorgeous movie, and it's a fantastic story, and it's a really inspiring story. And
it is an inspiring story about white people saving the natives from themselves.
Well, yes.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding, but am I kidding?
That's I'm just kidding. But the crux of the movie, that's Lawrence is realizing that through the movie.
Right.
And realizing what they're doing is awful, and that, he comes around, and he is a very inspiring figure, I think, in history. And he's just very fascinating for a person of that time. So yeah, I finally got to check that out. And then the other one I got to check out was All That Jazz, which is 1970-something, early 70s?
79.
Oh, late 70s. And that movie just kind of hits me on an entirely different level, and it hits me just right in the creative feels. It is totally a movie for artists and for anybody who, links themselves into that, kind of creative culture of people. And it really hits you in the ways that, oftentimes being a person who creates, content, who does stuff like this, we tend to sometimes be a bit reclusive and selfish with our time and very devoted to what we're trying to do, and that sometimes leaks over into our personal lives. And this movie, All That Jazz, really, really hits on that. Now, I haven't seen the original All That Jazz from the 30s, I want to say, and nor have I seen any stage version of it. But I very much like the 1979 version, even the ridiculous last kind of musical sequence that occurs. But it was really probably one of the... It stands out in the scope of my favorite, movie.
You won't see the engineer that slams the Nissan Rogue's door 13,920 times. Or the corrosive chamber that simulates 15 years of life in 5 months. Or the Rogue heat-baked for over 300 combined hours. What you will see is a vehicle that can take punch after punch and keep rolling. Nissan, #1 in new vehicle quality among mainstream brands by J.D. Power. We put it through the worst, so you get its best. For J.D. Power 2025 U.S. Initial Quality Study Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Awards based on 2025 model year. Newer models may be shown.
Have you ever wanted to dive deeper into the horror movies you love? Beyond the Blood is a horror podcast for fans who want more than just surface-level screams. We do deep dives into the movies that shaped us, digging into director commentaries, behind-the-scenes stories, deleted scenes, and the special features that most people skip. Each episode is a love letter to the genre. We break down how these films were made, the creative risks that paid off or didn't, and the lasting impact they've had on the genre as a whole. From 70s slashers to modern nightmares, we celebrate the craft, chaos, and characters that keep us coming back. If you're the kind of fan who rewatches movies with the commentary on, or you simply grew up in the video store horror aisle, the Beyond the Blood podcast was made for you. New episodes every single week. Subscribe, and let's dig deep. Welcome to the Beyond the Blood podcast.
Movies of the 70s, and that's easily one of my favorite time periods for movies. I'm obviously not going out on a limb saying that, but it is, and it just has that gritty feel and that just real feeling of movies that we're telling stories about characters. Read that character-driven, not so heavy on, getting from point A to point B, just kind of letting the story go and evolve. And yeah, it was great. And both of those movies, I should mention, I watched with a friend of mine, Maggie, obviously, that I've mentioned on the show before. And I think watching both of those movies with another person is probably pretty beneficial, especially something like Lawrence of Arabia, where it's so long that it's nice to kind of just have another person there to kind of just be going along with you on that experience, and
right.
You can kind of chat about it and figure it out, instead of just sitting there by yourself for 3 hours digesting this whole movie. You can kind of piece it out together, and that's also, a great experience. But that's, that's movie watching. That's what we do, and that's why we're here, honestly. But
well, and that is why we're here, is to talk about things we didn't get to watch, or
exactly.
I guess are blind spots.
Yeah, that's how I focus on them. Everybody has their favorite path of film, whether it's, mine's horror, and obviously everybody has their own sort of little niche path that they carve, and they see as much as they can in that specific area. But then you kind of, realize, hey, I've walled myself off from something else, but as a film fan, I want to expand on that. So what about you, Chris? What did you finally watch?
Fright Night. The original. And Mulholland Drive.
Very nice.
And Mulholland Drive, for that matter. But we just did a podcast on that. So it's kind of like double dipping, but...
And you should listen to that podcast.
Yeah, you should. But Fright Night. And I hadn't seen it. I'd seen the remake, which is pretty good in its own right. Actually, it's really good in its own right. But
I will have to give it a chance again, because I have to admit that when I saw it the first and only time, I was not that, knocked over by it. But I feel like I might be more appreciative of it now, farther removed of it. But I love Fright Night, and at some point this year, I'm probably going to get you to watch Fright Night 2, because Fright Night 2 is fan-fucking-tastic.
It has Brian Thompson in it.
It does, and it's, Julie, what's her name? Nope.
I don't know.
From Mouth of Madness.
Oh, yeah. The main female character from In the Mouth of Madness.
Yes. And she is like lead vampire in that, and it's just a really fun, good sequel to something like Fright Night, where Fright Night's just such a product of its time, but it works so well, and Chris Sarandon as Jerry Dandridge is just perfect.
Oh, yeah, he's great. That movie is a lot of fun. It's pretty over the top, but it's over the top in a good way, and so I really liked it, and glad I finally got around to watching it. And yeah, Mulholland Drive, obviously, I'd heard so many good things about it, finally got around to it. So what about your favorite sequel/franchise film for 2019? Mine is a pretty stock answer, but I think yours is going to be very different.
Well, mine is probably, if we had been doing this podcast several years ago, it might have been more relevant. But this year, because Disney Plus came out and has all of the Avengers or Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, my husband and I decided we were going to check those out, because both of us are really not huge superhero movie fans. So we didn't we weren't rushing out to see every Marvel movie that came out. I'd seen a few more than he had, and he had seen the ones that he wanted to, he likes Captain America and all of that, but we hadn't really seen them before, so we decided to check them all out, and I really like Doctor Strange. Like, when I saw this category on here, and we had just maybe 2 months ago, I think we were going through all of those movies. So they're pretty fresh in my mind. And yeah, I really like Doctor Strange. And I guess from what I understand, it wasn't the most beloved of the Marvel Cinematic Universe that has come out. Or it just doesn't have as much traction.
It's not. I mean, it was kind of like Ant-Man, but Ant-Man is my favorite Marvel character, so I'm right there with you.
I still haven't watched that one. I have to watch that one. But I like Stephen Strange. I love Benedict Cumberbatch, and I think, sure, Stephen Strange is very much just Dr. Iron Man, but I don't know. I like him better. Like, I like his smarminess better than Iron Man, than Tony Stark's smarminess, I guess. I don't know.
Well, and the other thing about Doctor Strange is that the next... See, here's the thing. I don't know if I agree with the whole him being Iron Man thing, because the tones of those movies are so vastly different.
I would agree, because the thing is like...
It's like more fun to Doctor Strange. There's like a more of like a mystical, cosmic nature that the MCU is now going towards. And like, admittedly so, which I am excited to see them kind of stepping away from. I would be more interested in that. Yeah, because like...
Than the standard just like... superhero with a lot of money and builds, cool contraptions.
Well, and I mean, with like something like Endgame, you did have the space aspect of the Marvel Cinematic Universe clashing with like the real, quote unquote, like the Earth stuff, which was fun. And now I'm excited to see the space and Earth stuff clash with the cosmic stuff, which is what Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch bring to the MCU.
Which I am excited for Scarlet Witch, because I do, from what, little that character is in the current set of Marvel movies, I did find her pretty interesting. And yeah, I guess I'm just more interested in, like, the occult stuff. But I also, like, Stephen Strange is sure he's kind of a smarmy, smug, overconfident. I guess he's not overconfident, though, because he's literally the best surgeon. So, I mean, you kind of earn that ability to be that confident, right? If you are...
Exactly.
The surgeon in the world. And when he, when the accident happens and his hands get all fucked up and you see it, and it's just just the look on Benedict Cumberbatch's face when he's playing that character is just it's heartbreaking, because it's something that's like, that's his art. Like, that's not just, any other job. It's like a craft to him, and the idea of not being able to do it just... It hits me like it.
You won't see the engineer that slams the Nissan Rogue's door 13,920 times. Or the corrosive chamber that simulates 15 years of life in 5 months. Or the Rogue heat-baked for over 300 combined hours. What you will see is a vehicle that can take punch after punch and keep rolling. Nissan, #1 in new vehicle quality among mainstream brands by J.D. Power. We put it through the worst, so you get its best. For J.D. Power 2025 U.S. Initial Quality Study Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Awards based on 2025 model year. Newer models may be shown.
Hello, filthy movie lovers. My name is Gentry Austin.
And I'm Casey Scott.
And we're the hosts of the Sin Syndicate, film podcast for something weirdos, anti-criterion bros, and Joseph Sarno aficionados. Join us semi-weekly as we peer into the adults-only theaters and sticky-floored cinemas of the golden age of sexploitation, when the morals were loose, the laws were murky, and the intercourse was all simulated. Find us now on the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Just in a more connective way than I connect to any other, major focused hero in the universe. Because they all just, everybody wants to see themselves in Captain America, I guess, and everybody thinks Tony Stark's super cool.
Or let's be honest, people want to see Captain America in them.
Well, yeah.
Just saying,
And, and then everybody else is just kind of everybody else. But I don't know. But yeah, Doctor Strange, that's my pick for best franchise/sequel that I watched in 2019.
So, mine is not going to be a surprising pick. It's Star Wars, Rise of the... No, I'm just kidding. It is not Rise of Skywalker. That movie was bad. But you know what we can all agree on, if you saw it? Avengers Endgame did such a good job at doing what it did, and it took 10 years of films condensed them into one movie, did backflips, forward flips, sideways flips, and everything to get it back to the point where it was supposed to be. And it gave a character a proper send-off. And I don't want to talk about the spoilers, because if you still haven't seen Endgame or if you're still catching up, I would say the spoiler is not super surprising, but you should still go into it if you don't know it, not knowing it.
Right.
But
I agree.
Avengers Endgame did. I think it did what things like Star Wars and Game of Thrones couldn't, which is, while the MCU is still going and will go until you and I are long dead, it gave the fans a spot where they could theoretically stop watching.
Yeah,
it gave them
if they wanted to.
Yeah, a satisfying conclusion. It gave them, even if you don't want to stop watching, it gave them a satisfying conclusion to a 20-plus movie arc, which, I mean, saying that alone, that has never been done. And the fact that they nailed it so well is not super surprising, knowing how talented Kevin Feige is. But at the same time, that's an Everest-level mountain to climb, to get it and to do it right. And they did it right. Yeah, and I think, looking at something like Star Wars, looking at something like Game of Thrones, that failed. Absolutely failed. Unequivocally failed. If you defend Star Wars, that's one thing. I could see people defending Star Wars, but I don't see how anyone could defend Game of Thrones anymore, especially after what those two dipshits said about the show and how they treated the show. I don't see how anyone could defend it at this point. Me being perfectly honest, and I'm sure we're going to touch on it at some point in more depth, but Endgame did what I would consider to be the cinematic franchise impossible, which is satisfying what the fans wanted while giving them something they didn't know they were going to get, while also kind of leaving the door open a crack for things that they're going to go with and open the door more to. Which, again, it's, in my mind, that's a win for everybody. So, and it made, most money ever.
I think that it's in anything that's, like you said, it's going to be almost impossible to satisfy fans, especially when you have them invested in something for so long.
A decade.
Yeah, for so long and so much money invested into it, honestly, between, going to see those movies, buying the movies afterwards, all of that. I mean, that's a big task that I would be fucking just, terrified to undertake, just because the chance for disappointment is high, and then you just getting, effectively could be, a career ender. If you fuck up, the biggest franchise that has existed for, a decade, like you said. That's just...
I mean, it has replaced Star Wars.
Yeah.
And that was, for the longest time, Star Wars was the kind of pop culture, mainstream thing that everyone could point at and be like, I like Star Wars, don't you? And now it's Marvel. And you know what? I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. Because the Marvel movies are much better.
And I think it's just time. It's Star Wars had its time, and sure, it still technically is. I guess now it's done. I don't know. Well, no, because there's going to be a bunch of shows and shit like that. But
that's different.
Yeah, but
as The Mandalorian showed us, it's
sometimes we might just be lucky with that one, and
that's fair.
But yeah, and speaking as somebody who's again not a huge superhero movie fan, I do think that it was a pretty expertly executed series of movies that was handled by so many different people, but all managed to keep within the same, in the same trajectory, and not feel like it's written by 100 different people and directed by, it's just, it all really works. Sure, there are movies in it that aren't the greatest and that I definitely wouldn't, want to watch again.
Like Captain Marvel.
I actually didn't see that one.
Woof. Woof, said the doggy. Woof, woof.
But I'm not a huge fan of the first two Thor movies at all.
You're not speaking from a spot of minority there.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody likes those.
I honestly could give a shit about the first Iron Man anymore. It just feels too much a product of its time.
But Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
That's the only thing about that movie that's so weird.
Exactly.
It's so weird to think back that Iron Man 1 had Jeff Bridges as the villain. Like, what?
But yeah, I think that's a pretty good pick for, I mean, again, a fantastic ending.
Yeah. And again, considering how we had 2 other endings this year that shit the bed big time, yeah. So, what was, in your mind, the breakout talent / biggest kind of talent you discovered in 2019?
This one is always kind of difficult for me because I guess I just watch, like, I'll be honest, I watch a lot of shit throughout the year. Like, I watch a lot of really shitty horror movies, so I'm never, like, really seeing a whole lot of amazing talent that comes to mind. But I think that probably the person that I think is going to, or has the potential to really, become a really great actor as opposed to like a huge movie star. And I think that's Adam Driver, because he's just kind of been everywhere this year, or was, in 2019, he was everywhere. And sure, not everything was a hit. Not everything landed.
Not everything was a...
You won't see the engineer that slams the Nissan Rogue's door 13,920 times. Or the corrosive chamber that simulates 15 years of life in 5 months. Or the Rogue heat-baked for over 300 combined hours. What you will see is a vehicle that can take punch after punch and keep rolling. Nissan, #1 in new vehicle quality among mainstream brands by J.D. Power. We put it through the worst, so you get its best. For J.D. Power 2025 U.S. Initial Quality Study Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Awards based on 2025 model year. Newer models may be shown.
If you're looking for more horror outside of the mainstream, look no further than Unsung Horrors, a podcast about underseen horror movies. I'm Lance.
And I'm Erica. Every other week, we'll cover a horror movie with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. We'll even give you double feature recommendations to pair with the movies we discuss.
From gothic to shot on video, from slashers to comedies, from giallo to J-horror, we'll cover all the subgenres. So join us as we unearth these hidden gems of horror.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Critical hit. Financial hit's a different story.
Right, exactly. But, I haven't watched Marriage Story yet, but I have seen some clips and some scenes of his acting, and I mean, he has that just sort of visceral, raw emotion that, like, I always get really just sort of enamored by people who act, because acting is just something that I don't, that's not something that I've ever tried. I'm the behind the camera person. I don't, being on a podcast and talking about things and having other people listen to that is like the closest thing I get to a performance of any kind. And it's not, it's just me rambling. But watching actors like him and I don't know, it looks like it hurts them sometimes, just expelling that kind of emotion, and I find it fascinating and really, I just admire it, and I think that he has the ability to really, if he and his agent and whoever else is in charge of whatever movies he's in, keep on this trajectory, I think he's going to have a pretty good career throughout his life. He's also kind of that really eccentric
actor, right?
Yeah, and he's also that really eccentric kind of actor, and those are always the ones that really like stand the test of time because they're really invested in their craft.
And he doesn't want to see himself act.
Right. Other than which is complete opposite of, the vain movie star of just, attention. It's just a different type of acting, I think. But yeah, I saw Dead Don't Die, which was, a fine movie, but he's hilarious in it. What was it? The Black Klansman. That's right.
Yeah, but that was
yes.
Yeah, that was from 2 years ago, right? Or did it come out this year?
No, I think it was 2 years ago.
Okay. Yeah.
But he's fantastic in that. He's funny. I don't know. He really hits that. He has a great range, and I just kind of, he has that anxiety and doesn't want to watch himself act, and that there's just something about that it's interesting. It's something that's like, that it's a true calling for him, that there's something driving him to do it, that's pushing him to do it, because he doesn't want to watch himself do it, so it's not something that he, like, needs in that aspect. It's just something that he has to do, and I think that is what really makes, you know, a really good actor. But who knows? Maybe next year I'll be, like, eating my shoe because he did, like, you know, a whole bunch of shitty comedies that get released in, like, March.
Dr. Dolittle.
Right.
Speaking of Robert Downey Jr., I like Adam Driver a lot. Admittedly, though, I have pretty much only seen him in Star Wars. Where, to be fair, he's kind of the best part of those movies anyways.
I like his...
Definitely not Daisy Ridley, because she, in the last
she's very bland.
Well, in the last movie, she also seems to have not given a fuck.
Well, yeah, she was probably like, well, this story is not what I wanted it to be, so I'm just going to phone it in to make my money.
As an actor, like, it's not about the story you want to tell. Like,
right.
I mean, I get that whole idea, but, like, at the same time, like, with something like fucking Star Wars, do you really think you're going to get a lot of say in what your character does? Like, come on.
No, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's like something with Daniel Craig where he's like, oh, I'd rather cut my wrist with glass than do James Bond again. It's like, yeah, dude, it's really awful to be the main lead in a franchise that is world known across the world, and you're just like, oh, God, they're going to pay me to stay in shape and 20 and millions. It's like, dude, come on, like, give a shit. If people are spending their hard-earned money to watch you, you should be giving a shit enough to fucking put on a performance that's worthwhile, not just going through the motions. And that's what it felt like in Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, I would agree.
But Adam Driver's great in all three of those Star Wars movies. He's the best part, period. Because it ain't the returning actors, that's for sure. Speaking of phoning it in, as for my breakout talent, it would have to be Maya Hawke in Stranger Things.
Okay. Yeah, I that's a good pick.
She's awesome. I mean, how often do you introduce a character that essentially overshadows all the other characters in the show? That's only been in the show for one season now.
For one season, yeah. I do hope that she continues to be a major player in the show, because, yeah, she does propel it in a different, much more interesting direction.
Much more mature way.
Yes, exactly. I mean, everyone on that show is great, and Stranger Things is always super fun to watch. But we know what the kids are going to be like. They're the same every season. Like, you know, I mean, aside from Finn Wolfhard's character, Mike, who just for some reason is becoming like a dick.
He's kind of becoming the one character I don't care about.
Right, he's just kind of like, I don't know. I don't know why I guess moody teenager, but it seems like a really weird, hard shift as opposed to just moody teenager thing. But whatever. Maya Hawke is just playing off, what's his name, who plays Steve. Their chemistry is fantastic. I mean, them in those outfits and bantering back and forth. And yeah, it just added a new, much more fun, mature route that I hope that they keep going with and they don't just brush off next season.
And if it had been the year that season 2 of Stranger Things aired, I probably would have said Joe Keery, who plays Steve Harrington. But, I mean, she's great. Maya Hawke. And look, I mean, are we surprised she's good? Look at who her parents are.
Right, exactly.
Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke.
Yeah.
Well, I like Uma Thurman, but I love Ethan Hawke. So,
you know, the Hollywood dynasties are always very interesting to me. Like, just the lineage of the Hollywood families where it's like, we are actors and we have actor children.
Must be nice.
Nobody goes off to do anything else, really. I mean, why would you?
Well, it depends. I mean, I guess it depends, right? I mean,
unless you're not good at it.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. So for you, moving on, what was your, and we're going to pivot here a little bit, music discovery of the year, which is something we've never talked about on the Kulturecast ever before, is music, but Jess and I actually listen to music.
We do.
Shocking.
You know, just drive to work in silence, like crazy people. I mean, if you do that, cool, but I don't know how you do it. Being in silence, I have to have music on. Which means I'm always kind of looking for new music because I have a tendency to get just like on loops where I listen to like the same few songs or artists over and over and over until I get super sick of them and I need to find something else. And usually like I use Spotify.
You won't see the engineer that slams the Nissan Rogue's door 13,920 times. or the corrosive chamber that simulates 15 years of life in 5 months, or the Rogue, heat-baked for over 300 combined hours. What you will see is a vehicle that can take punch after punch and keep rolling. Nissan, #1 in new vehicle quality among mainstream brands by J.D. Power. We put it through the worst, so you get its best. For J.D. Power 2025 U.S. Initial Quality Study Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Awards based on 2025 model year. Newer models may be shown.
The audio commentary. It's a dying art form, but here at One Track Mind, I, your wonky yet affable host Ryan Luis Rodriguez, analyze film through the prism of these embryonic forms of podcasting, one audio commentary at a time. Masterpieces, crapster pieces, live action, animation, cult classics, films literally no one has ever heard of. No track is too small and no track is too big. Join me and my guests from the entertainment world as we keep these features alive every other Tuesday. Hey, who else is going to discuss Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey one week and Citizen Kane the next? Us, that's who. Sure, you have to put up with my voice, but there's a certain give and take in this industry. That's One Track Mind, part of the Someone's Favorite Productions family and available wherever you get your podcasts.
Or something like that to sort of recommend me music based on what I listen to, this past year I started doing a regular game night with a couple friends, and one of my friends, he is, I don't know, he's just like an encyclopedia for music. He's constantly just finding new bands, either, that are current or older or whatever, but it's just every week is a new playlist. He makes constantly, he does his own sort of scoring for the games that we play, so that's really awesome. So I'm always hearing new music from him, and he and I have pretty similar music tastes, so he introduced me to this band called The White Lies, which is a pretty current band. They started in 2007, and their latest album just came out last year in 2019. They're an UK band, and they're pretty much like a post-punk new wave band. And so basically think a poppier Joy Division, which I guess would be New Order. And, with the same kind of crooning style vocals as, Joy Division or the Smiths or whatever. And I've been hooked on them for pretty much the last 2-3 months. It's pretty much I get in the car, I try to listen to a few other things, and I'm like, no, fuck this, I want to listen to The White Lies. I don't know, they hit me, hard just in a lot of ways, just in, personal life, whatever, existential, mopey, blah, blah, blah. Why? The reason we listen to music like this. But they don't do it, I have a few friends who don't enjoy listening to music that's, makes them, sad or sounds sad. But if I were to recommend them The White Lies, I think they would be able to get around the kind of more sad lyrics because it's sort of juxtaposed with this, not every song, but there are quite a few songs that have a pretty, fast-paced, a little upbeat sounding melody to them that kind of counteracts the sort of, melancholy lyrics. I would have to say their album To Lose My Life, which came out in 2009, is probably my favorite. And if you've seen A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, which is the Iranian vampire movie that came out a few years ago, the scene where she and the other lead character are in her bedroom listening to music and kind of just, he's took ecstasy or whatever it was, and it's starting to kind of feel really high. The song that's playing in the background while they're having that sort of moment standing with each other is called Death, and it's by The White Lies. So if you remember that scene, you like that song, that's the band that I'm talking about. And yeah, I love them. I highly recommend anybody check them out. They have a good sort of, balanced sound. They're not too one way in a genre, but they're just great.
I have not listened to them, but I have seen A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night.
I love that movie.
I remember when I watched it, it's not that I didn't like it, I felt bored, but, I mean, that was like 2 years ago, so...
I mean, that's fair. It's definitely a slow, meandering movie that doesn't really do a whole lot, but I love the way it's shot, I love the way it sounds, I like that, it's this other culture that we never really get to see at all in the film world. And it has aside from that song, the rest of the soundtrack's pretty fun and the type of music that I enjoy.
As for myself, mine is actually an artist that came out this year with his first album, Orville Peck, the gay gothic cowboy.
I have
Canada.
listened to a couple songs by him, and that's a pretty solid pick. I do enjoy that music.
Yeah. I think, was I the one who showed you him first? I think I might have.
I had heard one song before that, but I forgot that was the same person, and then I realized because you showed me a different song.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's doing the whole, like, masked cowboy thing, so it's like, I don't know who he is, but I mean, by his tattoos, he's a drummer from a Canadian pop punk band or a punk band. Super awesome. His album Pony is awesome. If you haven't heard it, if you got Spotify or something, doesn't cost you, or just go on YouTube. I mean, in this day and age, you don't even have to pay for music. I'm not advocating you don't pay for it, but you don't have to pay for music if you just want to listen to it the first time. But his first album is pretty solid. There's some really good songs off of it. It's kind of like Marty Robbins, if Marty Robbins was dark. And, like, I don't want to say and gay, but, like, his songs, like, they're very clearly written by a gay man. Mm-hmm. And I actually appreciate that because I don't think that's when you think of country music, that's not what you think of. No. And there's a softness to the songs with the lyrics that I appreciate that is just not there with what I would perceive to be a lot of, like, not macho, but masculine songs, my girl, right, fuck exactly. My dog, fuck my cat, like, just get out of here. I hate that kind. I don't hate it, but the kind of country music I like is like outlaw country from the 70s. Yeah. It's like George Jones, Chris Christopherson, Waylon Jennings, and that's kind of in the same vein. And like non-mainstream country seems to be kind of making a comeback. So I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to see and hear his next album. I hope he comes somewhere near Lincoln, Nebraska. I fucking doubt it. But, yeah, you never know. If he does, he doesn't. If he doesn't, he doesn't. But Orville Peck, he's awesome. I can't say enough good things about it. It's one of those albums that, like, you should go listen to it. And if you can't get into the first couple songs, probably turn it off because they're not going to really be that much different. But it's good. It's really good. And I'm super into it. For you, what was the favorite thing that you streamed in 2019?
This one was really hard to narrow down because there's a fuck ton of streaming stuff now.
The answer is just Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I mean, I don't count that as a streaming show because it was on HBO.
Oh, so we're not counting that as a streaming show.
No, I mean, it's because it's a cable network show.
You won't see the engineer that slams the Nissan Rogue's door 13,920 times. Or the corrosive chamber that simulates 15 years of life in 5 months. Or the Rogue heat-baked for over 300 combined hours. What you will see is a vehicle that can take punch after punch and keep rolling. Nissan, #1 in new vehicle quality among mainstream brands by J.D. Power. We put it through the worst, so you get its best. For J.D. Power 2025 U.S. Initial Quality Study Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Awards based on 2025 model year. Newer models may be shown.
Hello and welcome to Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys. My name is Hunter. In this podcast, I'll be joined by a different guest each week to discuss a classic Western movie or TV show. I've been a fan of classic Westerns for as long as I can remember, and in recent years, they've become very nostalgic for me. I love the aesthetic, the tropes, and I love seeing different filmmakers' takes on them. At their best, they're incredibly entertaining, rewatchable, and some of my all-time favorite movies are Westerns. We'll mostly focus on Western movies made in Hollywood, but we'll also be covering spaghetti Westerns, and one thing I'm very excited to get into are Western TV shows. I've got some amazing guests coming on the show, film professors, historians, and podcasters. And Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys is part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, and many guests on the show will be from other shows on the network. Thanks for listening.
Because it's available also on
Okay, so we probably should have had a conversation before we recorded this then.
At least in my opinion.
Okay.
If it aired on TV, I don't consider it a streaming show.
But what is TV?
Like a cable TV. Like I have a cable box, I turn on a TV with a remote, I channel surf with a guide, like that kind of TV. People who pay for HBO. Hey, I still have a cable box, but it's free
but here's
in my
the thing:
apartment.
you could theoretically get HBO without buying it through cable.
Right, exactly. But it's still a made-for actual TV broadcast.
Sure,
it's not made for streaming.
Sure. God, well, this fucks everything.
And you
up.
can tell that's why it looks so bad streaming.
Well, this fucks everything up. Now, oof.
Now everything is topsy-turvy.
Now,
well, I have a whole bunch of streaming things.
So yeah, why don't we talk about what yours are, and then when we get to mine, I will hopefully have figured out an answer. And another answer, a more specific answer as opposed to I kind of watched it on HBO answer.
Okay.
Sorry. We should have clarified. Clarified with you, not the other way around.
First time, I guess this isn't the first time for this category, but we are doing it in a different style. So my favorite streaming thing that I watched, which was on Amazon Prime this year, which is kind of weird because Amazon Prime isn't the one that I watch the most of the streaming services.
Amazon Prime is like the forgotten one.
Yeah, but they have a lot of good shows that there's actually quite a few on there that I want to watch. I just haven't gotten around to yet. But I picked Fleabag, which is written by, starred in, directed by a English woman named Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
She was in Star Wars.
She was, yes. And this
Not a good Star Wars movie, though, but in Star Wars nonetheless.
The show, I believe, is actually based on the stage version of this that she wrote, and essentially you follow this main character. It's only 2 seasons. That's all it's going to be. One season came out, I think maybe a little over a year before the second season came out, and then the second one was out, and that was it. And that was the intention. There was no canceling. There was no, it was just that's what she did because you're following this main character who never really gets a name. It's just kind of, if you watch anything with subtitles, like I do, it comes up when she's talking that just called Fleabag. That's just her, that's how the character is referred to. And she is, talk about she could have been the follow-up for breakout talent, and definitely, in my opinion, because she obviously can do it all, writing, directing, starring in. She's just amazing, and that character is so complex, and she's not, always a fantastic person, even by a long shot, and she has to deal with so much it's very real. It's just a very visceral, real sort of feeling, character-driven drama that is not really telling, a specific story. There's no, we have to do this to get this, and then this will happen. There's none of that. It's just her through her life dealing with the aftermath of her best friend who was killed before the show starts, run over by a bus, which is unfortunate, and she is inadvertently responsible for that. And it's her dealing with this grief and guilt, but she's also just this snarky, smarmy, hilarious asshole to people who so deserve it. And yeah, she's just, I don't know, she's definitely someone that I would throw up in my, to, admire, artists and people who work in an industry that I very much enjoy and want to be involved in. She's definitely up there and somebody who would be inspiring for that because she does everything. And yeah, if you haven't watched this show, again, it's only 2 seasons and there's not very many episodes per season, and they're all very short, so you could kill it in a day easily. But yeah, I highly recommend it because she's very talented and the show is hilarious and sad and heartbreaking in all the right ways. Yeah. And I guess I can go on with more if you don't.
Well, so here's the thing. Honestly, I'm just going to stick with mine because, I mean, I don't have anywhere else for this to go, to be perfectly honest, and I didn't watch it on the channel. So, and honest to God, it may actually be, you need to be even farther up on my list, but the favorite thing that I streamed was Chernobyl.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Chernobyl was fucking fantastic. If it were a streaming show, I would put it on my list.
Listen here, you. It is one of those shows that I genuinely felt tense and anxious through watching, which is hard for me.
Yeah.
Because as someone who, like you mentioned before, my kind of thing is horror, your thing is horror, it takes a lot to make me feel anxious and suspenseful. But fuck, it is just everything about the show is just a kick in the teeth.
It's infuriating. It's so infuriating to watch them just blatantly deny what's fucking happening, right outside their window. And the fact that it's, it's a real thing, obviously, and that's what makes it so much more tense and scary. Because it's something that could very much happen now.
Well, and also, for those of you that don't know, my father's side of my family is from Ukraine, and so also has kind of a little bit of the, the Russians treating the Ukrainians continually, and now in 2019, 2020, continue to treat them like garbage. And Chernobyl, the show, the real existence of when it happened, obviously, everyone goes, Chernobyl, Russia. Well, no, Chernobyl's in Ukraine. And the Ukrainians were a lot of the ones that died. So, not great for a number of reasons. But Stellan Skarsgård and Jared Harris are fantastic.
I love Jared Harris. I wish he were in more things. I mean,
well, he is if you watch stuff on the BBC.
Well, that's true. That's very true. But I loved his character in Mad Men. And he just meets such a sad ending. But
he meets a sad ending in Chernobyl, too.
He does, yeah. He just plays such a great, tragic character.
And I love Stellan Skarsgård in everything.
He's fantastic, always.
I think the Golden Globes are fucking stupid for a number of reasons, but he won a Golden Globe for Chernobyl, so they got...
You won't see the engineer that slams the Nissan Rogue's door 13,920 times. Or the corrosive chamber that simulates 15 years of life in 5 months. Or the Rogue heat-baked for over 300 combined hours. What you will see is a vehicle that can take punch after punch and keep rolling. Nissan, #1 in new vehicle quality among mainstream brands by J.D. Power. We put it through the worst, so you get its best. For J.D. Power 2025 U.S. Initial Quality Study Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Awards based on 2025 model year. Newer models may be shown.
Something right? Chernobyl to me is like what... oh, God. It's like what True Detective was for its first season. It's almost a perfect season of television.
I would agree with that. I would 100% agree with that.
True Detective went and ruined it because True Detective decided we needed to see more stories, which we didn't. So that's good. But, yeah, Chernobyl is just... I mean, if you haven't seen Chernobyl, go watch it. It's 6 episodes, I think.
Oh, yeah. They're an hour, maybe a little more.
Everything from the way it's shot to the color palette to just everything. It's one of the best shows I have ever watched, period, on any platform. I would put it in my top 10, probably top 5 greatest shows I've ever watched. It's that good, and that's not an understatement. And I don't know if it's going to make a lot of people's lists. Some people may have forgotten it came out in 2019, but holy shit, it's amazing. It's just absolutely amazing. So
I will just throw out my just runners up here real quick. I really dug Russian Doll. I love I don't know, it's the concept of Groundhog Day as a movie is just fine, and this sort of follows that same repeating the whole thing over again motif, but it does it in such an interesting way and for an interesting reason that I can't really talk about it much, and that's honestly why I didn't put it up there, because talking about it would spoil it. So it's on Netflix. It's hilarious and also very heartwarming, and just all the talent in it is fantastic, and plus it's really cool to look at. Like, it's just really well shot, and the color palette is fantastic. Mindhunter, second season came out. That was great. I mean,
that would probably be my answer if you're asking me to give you something that's like a serious, serious quote unquote streaming. It's Mindhunter. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, the performances are so good, and the people that they get to play, the killers, are just so creepily real. I mean, it's great. If you haven't checked it out yet, please. And we live in an age where everybody fucking loves true crime. Definitely give that a look. It is pretty much Zodiac, the TV show.
Yeah, on Netflix.
Yeah, also on Netflix.
And then the last three I have Glow, also on Netflix, which second season came out. Again, also really just love the characters. Some of the story has gotten a little kind of slapdash, but the characters are still enough to keep it going, and all the performances are fantastic. Marvelous Miss Maisel, which is another Amazon Prime show, had 3 seasons now, I think. I just recently started watching it and watched the newest season that came out, and it's hysterical. It's a period piece, so I guess, if you're not a huge fan of a period piece, then maybe it's not for you, but it's not, like your standard drama, dry period piece. It's just set in the 50s, 60s, like early 60s, and the lead actress in it, again, skipping names, terrible, is fantastic. She's hilarious, and I'm not a huge comedy fan. We've established this before, and this show regularly makes me just hearty guffaw at Tony Shalhoub and his just disappointedness with everything. It's a fun show that, I don't know, I like being transported back in time with all the costumes and the set design. It's a beautiful show. So check that out. And then The Boys, which is another Amazon Prime show. My kind of superheroes, the seedy, shitty, let the power go to their head kind of superheroes that would likely happen in real life if that's what we actually had. Second season's coming out. Looking forward to that. Carl Urban is a very sexy badass. And definitely check that out if you haven't already.
Yeah, The Boys is great. I didn't get around to finishing it, but I watched like halfway through the season. Any show that has a man having his head crushed while a woman is sitting on his face, pretty special show for everyone. Yep. Those of the things that I had seen on your list, Mindhunter is it's amazing. But again, I'm such a sucker for Zodiac.
Yeah, that movie's so good.
Yeah, I know, and it came out too far ahead of time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What is your biggest surprise that you watched in 2019?
This ties into our first category of things that I finally watched, and that is David Lynch's Dune. Finally got around to seeing that, and if you want all my thoughts on it, you can go listen to that podcast. But I was going into this expecting to kind of not really care for it because of its reputation. It's known as a bad movie, it was a huge flop. David Lynch hates it pretty much for the most part. It almost could have ruined his career entirely. But I think, age is the true, tell of anything. And I, going into this movie knowing, the general vague idea of the story and knowing, let the spice flow and having seen Sting in his costume before and stuff like that. So I wasn't, I knew kind of what to expect, and it's David Lynch, so there's that. But it was, I don't know, it's just much more interesting than I think anybody wants to give it credit for. I think everybody just wants to look at how just sort of convoluted the story is, and I guess, at the time, David Lynch was still pretty new, in the world of mainstream audiences, and it just didn't hit with them well. And it is dense material, obviously. I didn't read the book, but it's a very dense material. It's a lot of shit to put in there, and you're not going to get it all right, but I think that it is a much more engaging and entertaining watch than I was expecting. And I think that if you have been putting it off because, like me, you've just been like, it is really long. That is true. And sure, you've heard that it's a bad movie, and sure, it's not technically a great movie. It does get confusing in points and kind of drag and whatever. But there's something very, I don't know. It's the kind of sci-fi that sort of feeds off the early sci-fi movies of things like A Boy and His Dog and, you know, Logan's Run, which maybe aren't the most exciting of science fiction movies that people want to remember, but they are that sort of more based in the Twilight Zone area of science fiction that I like, because it's just this sort of uncanny valley weird look into the future, and I like that. I just like that I like that, you know, niche of film. I like that aesthetic and universe building. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by Dune.
Yeah, Dune is great. I mean, again, like you said, if you want to hear our thoughts, go listen to that podcast. But Doonies. For me, my biggest surprise of 2019 would be True Romance, primarily because of how much I fucking hate Quentin Tarantino.
Right.
Because I do fucking hate.
You hate him as a director.
I hate him as a director. I hate him as a person because of the way he acts towards people. I just hate him because he acts like a clown, and everyone gives him a pass. And then there's people out there who go, "What? You don't like Tarantino?" It's like, yeah, okay, so what? Oh, wait, you just don't get it. It's like, I don't get what? It's like it's weirdly one of those hills that people want to die. They like actively want to die on, and I don't understand. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed Quentin Tarantino movie.
But you know what I mean. Like,
yes, I know what you mean.
Yeah, we're not talking about like whether or not you like Tarantino is not the issue. I'm talking about like people.
And you know what pisses me off the most about those people who will die on that hill? Most of them, or at least a fair amount of them, couldn't fucking name half of the references in Quentin. Well, okay, if you want to call them references, you don't want to call them references. They can't name shit. And honestly, like, part of the reason why I like Quentin Tarantino movies is because I like those movies that he's, you know, taking from. And I get the references, and I enjoy seeing them. And I do think he utilizes some things in a really well-done way. A large part of his issue is that he does not admit it. If he would admit it and say that he is largely inspired by X, Y, and Z for this picture, everybody would still love him, because that's all we know. We know he's doing that, but yeah, his incessant need to act like every idea he has is like just, you know, formed by his tastes and not specifically scenes from other movies. Yes, there's a problem there. But I enjoy those scenes. I do think he executes them well. I think that he does know how to set up a shot really fucking well. And I think that he's a fantastic writer. And that's, yeah, True Romance is a great example of that. It's a showcase to his writing.
And I think it's the only movie that he's done that does. Because for me, the guy is a plagiarist. He doesn't do homages. He rips off. And if you're going to plagiarize or rip off someone or be inspired by, like you mentioned, at least give them credit.
Right.
Going back to our friend Mike White, who called out Tarantino in the 90s for Who Do You Think You're Fooling? Tarantino continues to do it, and people now give him a pass. Mm-hmm. In the 90s, he was just Reservoir Dogs Quentin Tarantino. Now he's the 9th film from Tarantino.
Tour. Yeah.
I'm not going to give him that title. He's not even... He could not hold David Lynch's American Spirit cigarette fucking pack. Yeah. He couldn't even...
No, I agree. David Lynch is an entirely different... I mean,
David
everything
Lynch is
that
an
David
original
Lynch
filmmaker.
does is it inspired, yeah.
And Tarantino... What Tarantino has always struck me as is the best way I can equate him is he is like Christopher Nolan. He makes trashy genres into... trashy in quotations. He elevates in quotations. He elevates them, and then people go, "Oh my God! Did you see Interstellar? That's such a crazy movie." It's like, dude, that's just a fucking time travel movie. That's right. Nice to look at, but like, it's not some fucking grand experience in cinema history. It's just, you know, sci-fi, which is considered to be by many a quote unquote trashy genre, and that's fine, but there are much better examples of high-quality sci-fi films out there than Interstellar, just like there are better examples of modern-day kung fu or gangster or revenge films than Kill Bill, Reservoir Dogs, or Pulp Fiction. I mean, there's so many better movies that do something original that don't get the publicity in the press that the names like Tarantino and Chris Nolan do. And it's really frustrating for someone who watches film who goes, with Knives Out, when Knives Out came out. It's like an okay mystery whodunit film, but there are much better ones out there. But it got massive publicity, and, I went on Facebook and said, man, it's okay, it's mediocre, at best. And everyone was like, oh, your opinion in movies, I don't get it. It's just like, you know why you don't get it? It's because you haven't watched as many movies. And I'm not trying to be a dickhead.
Right.
I'm just saying, you've watched way more horror movies than I have. And I defer to your opinion on horror because you genuinely know more about horror than I think anyone else I know. And why wouldn't I want the opinion of the person who knows more to lead me in the direction of things that I might like or might want to form my own opinion on? But with stuff like Tarantino and Nolan, it's like if I don't have the opinion that everyone else has, I don't know what I'm talking about. And it's like
that's a large amount of gatekeeping. On certain levels.
It's like, why? I just don't understand why, there are no other directors out there that I can think of that have a hill to die on mentality like people do with Tarantino, and I just don't get it. His movies are just okay.
Wes Anderson?
Here's the thing. I've never met anyone who wants to, I get, maybe, not, but not like The Life Aquatic. Most people I talk to just go, that movie's dumb. I have one friend who likes that movie.
I'm not a Wes Anderson fan.
No, me either.
A couple movies, and I just...
Wes Anderson, I'm weird because... I'm weird because
I love the way his movies look, sure, but the writing is... It irritates me.
I think it's meant to be irritating.
I don't find that clever or funny or charming.
And that's how I feel about Tarantino. He feels like a self-aggrandizing shithead in his movies.
Fair.
Because it's like, I'm smarter than everybody else. Check out this random grindhouse film from 1982 that I'm referencing. It's like, dude, kudos to you. Who gives a shit? No, nobody cares. You referenced fucking this movie.
Especially now, nobody cares.
Yeah, and or the fact that you straight up rip off movies and turn parts of movies that no one cared about into things that Samuel L. Jackson will now be cashing a paycheck for the rest of his life. You didn't even come up with that. You literally stole it from another movie.
You won't see the engineer that slams the Nissan Rogue's door 13,920 times. Or the corrosive chamber that simulates 15 years of life in 5 months. Or the Rogue heat-baked for over 300 combined hours. What you will see is a vehicle that can take punch after punch and keep rolling. Nissan, #1 in new vehicle quality among mainstream brands by J.D. Power. We put it through the worst, so you get its best. For J.D. Power 2025 U.S. Initial Quality Study Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Awards based on 2025 model year. Newer models may be shown.
Hey, this is Jason Kleberg from the Force 5 podcast, a show that forces a guest to come up with a movie-themed top 5 list topic, and then we reveal our picks on air. Top 5 heist films, top 5 tearjerkers, top 5 movie dogs. Every show you'll be asking yourself, what would be on my list? Guests include directors, screenwriters, actors, podcasters, musicians, authors, and even a professional wrestler. Subscribe to the Force 5 podcast, and you won't just be a listener, you'll be a list nerd. The Force 5 podcast, available wherever you're listening now.
Wholesale stole it. So it's just, and with True Romance, when I watched it, I was expecting it to be that I don't like it. It is a carbon copy of other things I've seen, and it was genuinely a good film to watch. But if you listen to our podcast that we did on it, part of it is because Tarantino wasn't directing it.
Right.
So he gave them the script, and then they told him to fuck right off. Now we have control. Yeah. And it's bye. You don't get complete control, so now we don't need a 3.5-hour movie of True Romance like we get with everything else that Tarantino does now because he thinks more is better.
Oh, Kevin Smith. That's another director people are willing to die on.
That's fair. But here's the thing about Kevin Smith. Does anyone take Kevin Smith's movies seriously?
God, I hope not.
I mean, I like Kevin Smith's movies, but I also
like some of Kevin Smith's movies, but I think he's also a director that benefits from
self-aggrandizing as well.
Some restraint and...
Oh, yeah.
limits as to what you can do.
Yeah, I mean, look, Kevin Smith is one of those directors where he also is to use a wrestling term, he's a mark for himself. He loves to hear himself talk. And he loves to give you his opinion on everything. And it's like, dude, sometimes we just don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
But the thing with Kevin Smith is I kind of like Mallrats and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back and Dogma and Clerks were those were some of the first like R-rated movies I ever saw. Mm-hmm. So like that kind of like formed an opinion of him that like I can't divorce those movies.
And I like all of those movies too.
But like stuff like his newer stuff, no.
His newer stuff and his podcast and just everything. He's just I'm good.
Well, he's a brand now.
Yes.
And that's like Tarantino. He's a brand now. Like that's fine. You're allowed to be. But don't be surprised when people are like, I'm okay. Right. But True Romance, I mean, I genuinely liked it. I found it to be a charming film. I liked everyone who was involved in it. The Sicilian scene is truly a fantastic scene in film history, and I'm glad that it exists. But I was surprised because, again, I have to be dragged to go see Tarantino movies because I know I need to watch them to talk about them. And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood fits square into the category of, dude, get to the point. But we're not talking about that, so let's talk about something that you were let down by, because I had no intention of being let down by Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because I didn't care anyways. Uh-huh. What was your biggest letdown of 2019?
It wasn't Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I did.
No, of course not. I know it was not for you. But again, it can't be for me because I didn't give a shit anyways.
I have two. One...
That's weird. I have two as well.
Maybe we agree on one of them. So TV-wise, I went with Game of Thrones because, that was just a giant spit in the face of all of the story that had been created up to them, pretty much. And...
Not only was it a spit in the face, they continued to kick dirt in the face after the fact.
Yes, exactly. And yes, I do admire the fuck out of the, doing those hellish 16-hour night shoots to do those fighting scenes. Because the thing is why I was the biggest letdown, because I enjoyed Game of Thrones. And I enjoyed the first couple episodes of that season. And then pretty much after that battle, and then, Night King goes bye-bye, everything just dies. It just burns in a horrible fire of disappointment and dissatisfaction because, it was rushed. And I know it was, they had to get it done, but still, it just felt so slapped together and so we don't give a shit anymore. And so much money went into it and so much time had been spent. And that's the thing is, I think I'm often most disappointed by TV shows because you invest so much more time in them than a movie.
Bigger time investment, but sometimes 2, 4, 10x.
Right, like years and years and years and years. And so, after watching this show... that just totally... And the thing is usually shows, if they suffer a quality dip in their last, half, is because, the showrunner or the main writers leave. And it gets taken over by somebody else who doesn't, do it as well. See True Blood. See Walking Dead. I mean, like that...
See Dexter.
See Dexter, yeah. Anytime, there's a change in power halfway through a series, it kind of is a death knell for it. But... this was the same fucking people the whole fucking time. And listening to them do interviews that they talk about how, they basically just say things that aren't correct. I mean, they say that, Dany forgot about her army. What do you mean Dany forgot about this other army? That doesn't make any fucking sense. You forgot about the army because you didn't give a shit anymore. That's what happened.
I think my favorite thing that they said was... we took the fantasy elements out to appeal to soccer moms and football players.
Wow.
Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't.
So that was they did a huge interview at it was either South by Southwest or Austin City Limits in the last 6 months since the show ended. And if they were a foot buried by how fucking terrible the show was, They went and got a backhoe and dug a 6-foot grave for themselves, jumped in and just buried themselves with the stupid shit that they said. Because they essentially said, you know, it was a miserable time. It was miserable making the show. We just wanted to be done. We took the fantasy shit out because we didn't really understand it, and we didn't think our audience was going to either. It's like, just shut your mouths.
Yeah.
You are just
if you tank something that hard and people have that bad of a reaction to it, just politely agree to disagree and don't talk about it anymore, because especially if you have that kind of attitude about it. It's one thing if something fails that somebody put a lot of effort, that they really tried and it just didn't work. That's a different kind of, letdown. But to just pretty much blatantly be like, yeah, we don't give a fuck anymore. We're going to...
Well, their thought is maybe no one can do anything.
Use all this fucking money. It's just...
I mean, maybe they think no one can do anything about it except for fire them from every project they're on.
Right, yeah, sorry.
Sorry, you're not getting to make Star Wars. You know why? Because no one wants to touch you with a 10-foot pole, because you are toxic.
Yep.
Because toxic people say toxic shit like that. And you can go, you've got more than enough money to survive for
to do nothing
long.
else.
Yeah. So fuck right off and go, don't bother anyone, because we don't want you doing anything, regardless of whether or not you're a fan of Game of Thrones. If you listen to their interviews, you should not want them touching something you care about.
Yeah. But my other letdown was It Chapter 2. I was really, really, really disappointed by this. I liked It Chapter 1. I still like It Chapter 1. Despite its, the CGI was a problem in the first one. It's a even worse problem in the second one. The focus on comedy in the second one over horror is just confounding.
But they had Bill Hader in the movie.
The lack of the lack of anything to do for any of the other characters who aren't Bill Hader or what's his name, who played Adult Eddie, who are both great. Don't get me wrong. There are aspects of that movie that are good, and primarily it's just Bill Hader and that guy. And that's it. But they're just fucking with the weird ass fucking musical cue, and with don't call just call me Angel in the morning, whatever. There was a fucking mess. Like, it was just a horrible mess, and they could have made it all one long 3-hour movie and just been done with it if they were just gonna do it so sort of smashed together at the end, where they're just sort of hitting all the beats to make sure they get in everything they need to get in. But yeah, I mean, you have all that talent. Again, you have an ensemble cast it's not an ensemble cast, I guess, in the way that Knives Out is an ensemble cast, where it's a bunch of very known, very talented actors acting together. But I mean, this, for the talent that they had for this movie, was all very good. I mean, they are all very good, but most of the characters have nothing to do for most of the time, and they all are just playing the kid versions of themselves, but now as adults. It didn't feel like anybody evolved. And I know we talked about all this in the podcast, but
it hasn't aged well in the last couple of months since it's been out.
No, it hasn't.
It's actually having rewatched it now twice, actually, it is way worse than I remember. It's I actively do not like it.
Yeah, I don't think I want to rewatch it.
No, I wouldn't. And the thing that we talked about so long ago, before I knew you, was the first chapter, as good as it is going to be judged by how well the second part does. Because why would you watch the first part if the second part bombs so hard? And the second part bombed, and I have no interest in rewatching the first one, because I'll just go rewatch Stranger Things, because it's the same shit. It's almost even the same cast.
Yeah, that's fair. And I mean, like I said, I rewatched the first part right before we went to see the second part, and I still liked it then. I haven't watched it since the second part, but I don't know, maybe I'll just retain the memory of me liking it, but I still think that there was some good stuff in there, and I think that all the kids are good, and I like the Stephen King universe, but yeah, no, I can't.
But why is it so mean?
Right.
See, even somehow that's not that bad. Like,
right.
I'll take that, because at least that's just 3 hours and it's over. It's not like a 6-hour romp through fucking sly gestures to Stephen King's other books. Like, we get it.
Right, yeah, exactly.
The Shining. Ugh. I'm actually surprised Dr. Sleep wasn't on your biggest letdown.
No, because I was going into Dr. Sleep with mixed, with varied expectations, because I had not read the material. And yes, The Shining, and also, The Shining's my favorite movie, so I'm going into anything Shining related knowing that I'm not going to like it as much as that.
But you also didn't get to see the full version, because it
Right.
wasn't the 3-hour version, because that's what the world needs.
But I liked it Chapter 1, and I really wanted it Chapter 2 to be, really good, and it wasn't. It wasn't even, moderately good. It was, I don't even know why they did half of what they did with it.
Well, it starts with an M and ends with Oni.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah,
Moni.
Yeah, it's really sad, unfortunately. And they also sidelined the clown in the second one.
Yeah. Well, because they make him do just the same gag that he does all the time.
Yeah, which is chase him around, don't kill him. Which,
And
by the way,
the weird eye thing and the lip thing.
No stakes. That's cool. And the fact that they want to make a third movie, get the fuck out, fuck off, please.
For
Thank
what
you.
or why?
A prequel, because the clown's been around for hundreds of years, Jess.
Right.
We can mine so many stories where the clown
Stephen
doesn't
King
die.
hasn't even done that story, guys. You think you should touch it?
Well, you know what? Those idiots probably think they can.
Oh, I'm sure they do. And Stephen King says, sure, because I can cash all those checks all the live long day.
Yeah, that's right. Stephen King.
Slap my name in the credits, whatever.
Yeah, he doesn't even have to work, and yet he continues to. So there's something to be said for that.
Yeah.
As for me, my biggest letdown, the first one is a horror movie, and it is Us, which people may even forgot came out in 2019. But it
came out
for
pretty
me,
early in 2019, didn't it? March?
Well, let's put it this way. There were definitely 3 of us on that podcast, and you were the guest.
Yeah, that's true.
So pretty early in 2019. I loved Get Out. Love it. I've seen it, so many times now, and it holds up every time I watch it. Jordan Peele is a truly gifted storyteller, a writer and director, but Us just crumbles under the weight of its own mythology. And I genuinely don't think it has anything interesting to say in the way that Get Out does. And it's trying to play on those same themes and tones, and it's so narratively jumbled and tonally inconsistent, and it's a disappointment because Lupita Nyong'o is a fantastic actress. Winston Duke is a fantastic actor. And Jordan Peele's a great director. I mean, well, let's walk this back. Jordan Peele made one good movie.
Yes.
Us is not a good movie, in my opinion. I know a lot of people liked it.
I did.
I know.
I didn't like it as much as Get Out. I will agree.
And I don't know if you could like it more than Get Out.
No,
You won't see the engineer that slams the Nissan Rogue's door 13,920 times. Or the corrosive chamber that simulates 15 years of life in 5 months. Or the Rogue heat-baked for over 300 combined hours. What you will see is a vehicle that can take punch after punch and keep rolling. Nissan, #1 in new vehicle quality among mainstream brands by J.D. Power. We put it through the worst, so you get its best. For J.D. Power 2025 U.S. Initial Quality Study Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Awards based on 2025 model year. Newer models may be shown.
I agree with your arguments of it being sort of, the story is kind of convoluted, and I think that he was just trying to do a little too much. He was trying to throw in a bit too much symbolism or a bit too much imagery and a bit just kind of crossing themes and messages that he wanted to throw in. And I think that it just doesn't feel as... It's not as connected, it's not as streamlined, it's not as
fresh.
No, it's not. Get Out is a good, concise story. We know, it's a concise story with fantastic performances, and it really takes that Twilight Zone feel. Speaking of disappointments,
we shouldn't even touch. We shouldn't even touch. Yeah, because you know what?
Nope, that's a whole podcast. We did that podcast.
Yeah, Jordan Peele, you're getting off easy by us just talking about Us because.
And I like Us, and if Jordan Peele had more to do with Twilight Zone, the show, I think that it would have been better. But he didn't, so whatever.
That was a bait and switch. If I've ever seen one, that was a bait and switch.
It really was. But no, I agree. I can definitely see not enjoying Us as much as Get Out. That makes sense. I don't know. I liked Us. I think, again, there's something, it's very visually striking. That's obviously a big thing for me. I love what Jordan Peele, I don't know who his composer is or if he even uses the same composer.
He did.
For both. Okay.
He did.
That relationship, that composer-director relationship, I think, is probably just, like, it's one of the strongest that aside from, like David Lynch and Angelo Badalamenti and, Sergio Leone and, Morricone, and I think that is definitely a relationship that I hope if Jordan Peele does continue to make films, which I think he will. I hope they continue that relationship because I think that a lot of just his interesting melding of, hip-hop and rap with the sort of variety of instruments you get from a traditional film score, it all just really molds in a way that I think really adds to the atmosphere and overall just feeling and momentum of his stories. And I liked all the characters. I thought that and this is the one case that you and I differ in a weird way, is that I actually think that the humor lands in this movie. I think that I did enjoy it. I think that...
I don't dislike the humor. I mean, the humor is okay. I will actually, you know what, I will tell you the exact problem I have. Like, the thing I can pinpoint, stick a pin right in it. In Get Out, they don't bludgeon you over the head with the narrative clues and the exposition. And in Us, it feels like they take out a stick and just beat you over the head with it. And it's like, I don't need it. That's what made Get Out good, was the fact that every time you watch it, you get something else. You get something different. You see something you didn't see before. And in Us, I've watched it 4 times now, and every time I walk away from it, I go, why did I watch this instead of just watching Get Out again?
And that's what I mean by I think that he was doing too much. I think that he was trying to overload a little bit, because I think it was a situation of he had a lot of ideas that he thought was really cool, and because he is the writer and director, he can do what he wants.
And he has first look now from Universal. So.
Exactly. So throw in everything you want. But I don't know. I'm still, I think it's still early in his career. It's a sophomore film, and
it's a sophomore slump for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. Sophomore films are kind of notoriously known for that. So, because I think it is the one that you tend to try. Okay, you go in moderate on the first one because you're not trying to do too much and be too ambitious. And then the second one, especially if your first movie went really well, which Get Out obviously did, you get
nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah, your first fucking movie gets nominated for an Oscar. You're probably going to get a chip.
Original screenplay.
Yeah, you're going to get a chip on your shoulder and then maybe bite off more that you can chew on your second film. So I don't think that this film really derails his career or really, tarnishes it in any way. I think that it's a pretty, I think it's the logical next step. And I do, again, I still enjoy it. But yeah, I agree that Get Out is the better, stronger film, but I'm really excited to see what the third movie is going to be like now that he's gotten both of those styles and kinks and things out of the way.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm looking forward to the third one because, there's just... I had such high hopes, and it's just... That was probably also part of it, but I try not to let my enthusiasm factor into it being a quote-unquote letdown. I just think it was just, regardless. However, speaking of things that, this is like a true letdown of letdowns. Like something that, when you hear about it, and when you hear about it on the face of it, and you hear about everything that went into it and coming back to it, the fucking Irishman. Oh my God.
That's a good pick.
How meh. Just so mediocre of a movie.
I was kind of expecting that, and I think that's why I didn't have it higher up on the list of disappointment, because I I don't know. It makes sense. It makes
I mean,
sense.
Goodfellas is my favorite movie.
I know,
that's
but
the problem. Like, that's the ultimate problem.
And the thing is, like, Goodfellas is your favorite movie, and Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci and all the people who were in that movie, who are in this movie, at that point in time, during Goodfellas, still had, like, a huge, awesome, long career ahead of them. This one's just like, hey, remember when we did all this stuff? Let's do it again, but now we're really old. Yay. Oh, this is the last time we're probably all going to be together. Let's reflect on that. And it's just... That's, I don't know, it's a little self-aggrandizing, I think, for Scorsese doing basically Scorsese's greatest hits. I mean, even the music wasn't, like, as on point as it usually is. It was like, sure, there's Rolling Stones in there, but it's nothing that I haven't, it doesn't particularly hit well, or...
It's not Layla in Goodfellas.
Right.
It's not Devo
no
covering
really
the
good musical
Stones in
cue.
Casino. It's not any of that. And this is the thing about Scorsese. This year, and I know you followed this somewhat, Scorsese got himself in trouble by saying, Marvel movies, less than cinema, theme park rides. And it's like, dude, first off, that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. we're not gonna have a conversation about whether or not he's right or wrong. Mm-hmm. But don't just come out and make the same shit you've made before. Because you're invalidating your own argument. You have invalidated everything by saying that what they're doing is just rote and cookie cutter, and then you come and make a film that is two movies that are better than this movie mashed up into one, and it's not that good.
Mm-hmm. And you spent a whole bunch of fucking money on it.
Oh, well, good on Netflix.
Yeah, well, Netflix survives in debt finance, so...
and they will continue to survive in debt finance forever.
Until the bubble bursts, but...
I don't think the bubble's good. If the bubble bursts, I don't think Netflix is going to be the ones that go down.
It's fair. Even in the Depression, people still went to the movies.
Yeah. I think it's going to be Peacock TV or any of those other bullshit ones that are coming out of the woodwork. Yeah,
whatever the fuck.
And the other thing about The Irishman that's disappointing is they drug Pesci out of retirement.
Yeah.
And this is what we get? I mean, like, Pesci in,
Oh, hey, but people will say that that's, like, his best performance ever and how reserved it is. And da-da-da-da. I'm like, he's bored, man. He's bored and old.
But he's the best part of the movie.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It's either him or Pacino.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know, actually. I think Pacino
It's not De Niro, because De Niro is just phoning it in.
Yeah. And he with they all with the de-aging, but him especially.
What, me, Robert
where he's
De Niro?
still moving around like a 70-year-old man.
Yeah, but you got to do the face. You got to do the De Niro face, where he's squinting all the time, and he's just a curmudgeon, and we get it. That's you now. You are your characters that you play in movies. But, God, what a fucking mess. And, I know it made a lot of people's lists, and it's going to get nominated, and... It didn't win anything at the Golden Globes, which I think everyone was surprised by, but at the same time, not really surprised. So that's fine. And again, the Golden Globes are the dumbest awards of the movie season because they have drama awards. And then musical/comedy.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's just bizarre. But yeah, The Irishman, yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people that really liked it, and I should have been right there with them, but yeah, nope. And it has nothing to do with the fact that the movie's 3.5 hours long, because I watched that fucking thing in one sitting.
With that. Yeah, for me, it's too long for no reason.
Well, yeah, no, I will agree with you that it is too long, but the length of the film doesn't factor into my disappointment.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's much more things to be in my mind. There's much more things to be.
Well, and I mean, it's not like Scorsese's known for making short movies either. That's pretty.
Yeah, I mean, it's not
3.5 hours is long, but it's not so unbearably long.
Yeah, I mean, Silence was 3.5 hours, so
right.
And my little addendum to this list would be Midsommar, which I didn't give a shit about anyways, was pretty much just as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Midsommar was going to be on there because I was looking forward to it because I do like Hereditary, which I know we disagree with.
We sure do.
Disagree on. But yeah, no, I was pretty let down by Midsommar because
every folksy weirdo horror movie is the same.
It's the fucking Wicker Man. I mean, that's what it is. It's the Wicker Man, and we all know that, and that's what.
Is there any way to tell, like, Weirdos in a Countryside story without it just becoming The Wicker Man?
And I mean, I'm sure there is, and it would require more than the first fucking thought you had about... I mean, the thing is, it's like all of these movies are the same thing because it's everybody's first thought about weird folk stuff. But if people took the time... And I know that, Ari Aster does take the time to, like, do more research into his films than the average director does. I don't think he puts in as much research as Robert Eggers does, who's the other, golden child of elevated horror. But, I don't know. I always want to see more of, like, the actual folk people instead of the people who are, like, ruining it for everyone. Like the Ugly Americans and all of those movies. I hate that we have to follow them around instead of the people that are actually involved in the cult or community or whatever you want to call it. But, I mean, the first 5 minutes of this movie are really fucking... creepy. They really, like, unsettled me. And they're, it's set in this dark, wintry scape, and then the rest of the movie is obviously set in this bright, sunny field, which is pretty, and I did appreciate the sort of psychedelic effects that they do. I did, after they basically drink the mushroom tea, and how everything in the background is sort of always... That's your cue, is to know if somebody's high or not, if things are moving around on the screen. And I did like that. I thought that was fun. But yeah, it was the same story and nothing new happened and nothing... I don't know, like the performances were all pretty standard. Nobody was really given any real development. It was the people who were assholes the whole time. And
the assholes got their comeuppance.
Yeah, and I mean, good, but it just wasn't as interesting. And I don't think it was, what I liked about Hereditary was that it was this small, confined movie about this family who's just really dealing with shit. And Toni Collette, really, really moves that movie along, and her performance is amazing, as I've said many times before.
Which cracks me up because Hereditary without Toni Collette would be, you would know who even gives a shit.
Right. It would just be like Peter Gabriel. Gabriel.
He wants to be your sledgehammer and also cut your fucking head off.
No, Gabriel Byrne. And what's his name from, I want to say Perks of Being a Wallflower because that's what I know him from. But just sitting in a dining room,
who looks like Michael Cera but isn't Michael Cera.
No, yeah. Swarthy Michael Cera.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would just be them sitting in a dining room not talking to each other. That would be it. But I liked that. But, I am more of a Robert Eggers fan than a Ari Aster fan. Although I guess I can't necessarily say that since I haven't seen The Lighthouse yet. So, but I like The Vivitch.
The Witch is great, by the way, thanks to you for me watching it again.
No problem. And Hereditary, I think, are great. But Midsommar was not, so I'll be interested to see how... but again, we are in a kind of all of these new directors are kind of all they all had their sophomore movies in 2019. 2 out of 3 I haven't really enjoyed, so we'll see what The Lighthouse brings. But yeah, I almost threw Midsommar on there because that one I was really looking forward to it because, like I said, I enjoyed Hereditary. You didn't, so you had vastly different expectations of Midsommar than I did, but that's fine.
Well, and the problem with Midsommar is I had low expectations, and it didn't even exceed those. It was just like, it was right. It was right in the center. Like, it didn't even come, like, all I can think when I see something like folksy weirdos.
You won't see the engineer that slams the Nissan Rogue's door 13,920 times. Or the corrosive chamber that simulates 15 years of life in 5 months. Or the Rogue heat-baked for over 300 combined hours. What you will see is a vehicle that can take punch after punch and keep rolling. Nissan, #1 in new vehicle quality among mainstream brands by J.D. Power. We put it through the worst, so you get its best. For J.D. Power 2025 U.S. Initial Quality Study Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Awards based on 2025 model year. Newer models may be shown.
In the woods, in the forest, on an island. All I can think when I see those is, Wicker Man, and Wicker Man, and oh wait, I'm waiting for the Wicker Man moment, and here it comes.
You know why we think that? Because we only ever get folk horror from that region. You know what's a really fucking good folk horror movie? The Ritual. That came out in, I think, 2018. It was a Netflix movie, and it is sort of in that still, white people folklore area, but it's more, I think it's actually I'm not sure. It's set in a dark, snowy forest, and that's a great movie. The Witch is a great movie.
Rafe Spall in The Ritual is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, that movie is so good.
Talk about a movie about grief.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic movie. If you haven't watched that, definitely check that out.
But Jess, there am no drugs in that movie.
Right. Well, hey, you know what? Magic mushrooms are everybody's friend, Chris.
Yeah, I know. But there am no flower crown in Midsummer.
Yes,
it's just like
nobody can be the May Queen.
Oh, shush. What? You know what, Ari Aster?
Let's make a folk horror movie from some Eastern folk horror movies. It's fucking
has to be British
scary.
Isles.
I guess we already had the Asian American cinema boom in the late '90s, early 2000s. But let's redo that. Let's do that in a Robert Eggers kind of situation, style. Let's get some more. I would like to see that. I would like to see good folk horror, because I think that it can be done in a non-Wicker Man way if you try to expand outside of that kind of community. I mean, it's always the same thing. Just go outside of that. There's plenty of fucking folklore for you to delve into. Let's see some Irish stuff with some banshees and stuff like that. Would be great. But no. We have to watch somebody basically get burned alive again.
But this time they're sewn inside of a bear. Cool.
Yes.
Because we are not creative. And and here's the thing. It's like a sounding chamber, because Midsummer came out, and what did Jordan Peele say? It's the most disgusting controversy.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, oh, fuck off.
Is it? Why? Because there's that weird sex scene in it? Oh, no.
Wow, weird. Have you ever seen Antichrist? Because I have.
Yeah.
That fucking movie. Holy shit. Or even The House That Jack Built. Good God, that movie's fucked up.
Yeah, I haven't watched that because I don't like Lars von Trier.
I don't either, but The House That Jack Built's actually really good. That's a whole nother podcast. Lars von Trier month. Let's kill ourselves.
Man.
Time
to
to
try
die,
seeing if we're
everyone.
alive at the end.
Yeah. Oh my God. Melancholy Alone. Good. Ooh. Or just Antichrist, Willem Dafoe cutting his dick off. Just fucking cool, everybody. So on to, before we talk about our favorite thing that we watched in 2019, you read, I read, picture books mainly.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks. What was the best thing you read in 2019?
Yeah, I do read. I don't read as much as I used to, which is sort of why I kind of wanted to do this little superlative as, more incentive. I'm always trying to read more every year. That's always a goal. And this year I got into reading more graphic novels and manga than I have in previous years, particularly in the manga arena. It's not something that I am well versed in, and the thing about me and manga and anime is that there is so much manga and anime, because that animation world is a whole other fucking animal of creation. But there's a lot of bad shit, and it's hard to sift through all of it. So I was getting good recommendations, and basically I have two things, because one is a graphic novel and one is manga. One, I read the first volume, the big first tome of Neil Gaiman's Sandman, which obviously really super late to the party, but it's awesome. I'm a pretty big fan of Neil Gaiman's writing. I've not read everything he's written, but I've read American Gods, I've read Good Omens, I've read now Sandman. I think I read a short story collection, and overall, I'm a pretty big fan. I enjoy his dark fantasy. I am a fantasy fan, but more in the Gaiman sort of way, less in the Lord of the Rings kind of way. But yeah, I mean, for me, part of the reason that I read Sandman, it was a recommendation, and I have a story that I'm working on that I would like to be sort of in a graphic novel format eventually. It's been in my head for years, and reading this sort of different take on page layout, because generally, I guess if you are a novice to comic books, you just kind of think traditional panel type page layouts where it's just block by block by block. Maybe you get a little different shape here and there, but it's mostly just pretty linear standard setup. But Sandman and Neil Gaiman's artist, their page layouts are just incredible. They're just whole paintings on their own. Like, I would take any one of them and, blow it up and put it on my wall because they're just gorgeous. And it was a good inspiration and sort of research too for how I kind of, envision my story being laid out. And I want it to be laid out in a different structure than a traditional graphic novel. But then the other one that I really enjoyed was something that I actually just recently started reading, probably just like a month before 2019 ended, and that is something that's called Mob 100. What is it? Mob 100 Psycho or Mob Psycho 100? But it's an ongoing manga about this boy who has superhuman powers, but he chooses not to use them because he wants to be normal in life and just sort of get on in his life in the standard way and without hurting people or using things to his advantage. And he's also just a really sort of blank-faced character, and that's kind of an ongoing joke throughout, which I entirely relate to. People constantly think that I'm upset or mad at them or something, but it's just how my face is, and I can't do anything about it. It just, if you get to know me, you figure it out. But it was also created by this guy who his name is One. That's what he goes by anyway. And he has another story called One Punch Man, which actually has a Netflix. It's on Netflix, and it's pretty good. His humor lands, and in both this and in Mob, his humor is just fantastic. But what I most admire about him, and how I came across him, I was recommended him because he is a manga artist who, for all intents and purposes, can't really draw all that well. Like, his technical drawing skills are very lacking. But he started out Mob and One Punch Man as basically webcomics, and he just kept going and going and going no matter what anybody was telling him that, you can't do this because you're not, this type of artist. And now his stuff is now, made into TV shows and that have been rendered by artists who are very good, and so they look fantastic now. And it's just kind of inspiring. There's a lot of good, stuff that hits me like right in the heart in Mob, and I'm glad that I'm giving, manga a chance because I never really did before now. And dude, there's just so much to read and watch. And I mean, and we've been talking for probably an hour and a half on this stuff alone. And this is a very small portion of what we watched in 2019, especially collectively. And so, yeah, I don't know. I just didn't want to limit myself anymore, really, on what I was reading. I wanted to read anything. So, yeah, it was a good exploration year.
How fucking weeb of you.
I know, right?
Fucking weeb.
Just get out my DDR, man, and go home.
I gotta get my box fan out when I go on down to the local arcade so I can dance it up and not get warm. Oh, you guys want to win some stuffed animals out of the machines later? Look, I'm not to make fun of anybody, but I mean, you do know when you bring a box fan to the arcade what you're going to do with it.
Oh yeah.
You're not sitting it next to you while you play pinball. Because let's be honest, if you play pinball, you're probably me, and you're not dancing. Looking like an idiot. Because people who play Dance Dance Revolution don't look dumb when they play it, because they play it well, and I don't. So I actually read a lot. I try to get through a book a week. And last year I did a pretty good job of that. This year, starting out well enough, at least. I'm about halfway through the first book that I started. But last year I finally got around to reading Annihilation. The book that the film is based off of. Not really, but in name, and there's some setup that's similar, but I finally got around to reading it, and I'd just been kind of putting it off. It had been in my Audible library for 2 or 3 years, and it's great. It's better than the movie. It's different than the movie. I guess it's not really better because it's not the same thing. Like, the setup is kind of the same, but it's completely a different story.
That's nice. I mean, that's like, for me, that's what I hope in an adaptation. Is that there's, whatever similar themes and the characters and stuff crosses over. But if you're going to do an adaptation, make it more your own than doing the same fucking shit that you've already read.
It is so different. It's shocking that they even use, like, they don't even need to use the title. Like, that's how different it is. Like, the title is it's not even close. Like, the basic premise of women go into a Sector X, that's it. Like, it's shocking how different it is. And I'm okay with that. But yeah, you're completely right. And as for, like, stupid schlocky shit that I read, Carnivore, which is a book from the, I believe, late 80s, early 90s, about a T-Rex egg that is found in the Antarctic. And then it hatches and it starts killing people. It's real fucking
that sounds
dumb.
Fun.
It is. I read it in an evening. It is like 250 pages, and it is stupid and funny and dumb and not to be taken seriously at all. And you could probably find it at your local bookstore on Amazon for like $1 or $2. And it is, God, it's just so stupid. It's one of those books where the cover, like Grady Hendrix talks about,
so much better.
Paperbacks from Hell. Yeah, well, no, actually, the cover does a good job of setting up how fucking ridiculous the book is. And, like, the cover's good. The book inside is like Jurassic Park written by... It's everything I wanted in Jurassic Park, like, without all, like, the science-y stuff. It's just like a big-ass dinosaur eating people. And, like, sometimes you don't want the serious. You just want, like, the really dumb. And it checks all the boxes. So that's a fun thing. And, yeah, those kinds of books are totally in my wheelhouse, and I love just kind of sitting down and reading a book, like, in one evening and being like, yeah, that was fun and dumb, and I'll tell people about it, and if they want to read it, cool, and if not, it's, I enjoyed it, and I was probably the only person in 2019 who read it, so
right.
There's that. But let's talk about, since we're coming to the end of this, what was the favorite film you watched in 2019? Because we wanted to make that distinction. You wanted to make it. And I agreed with you 100%. What was your favorite film you watched in 2019?
My favorite film was Miles Davis, The Birth of Cool, which I saw at the Cleveland Film Festival, and I don't know if it has distribution yet or not, so who knows when it's actually coming out. I saw this documentary at the Cleveland Film Festival this past year, and I saw it with a friend of mine, and we were sitting in a theater, and it was totally sold out. Like, we were there, and it was packed, no more entry. And for about 2 hours, I don't know. It took you on a journey, in my opinion. And Salim and cliche as that sounds, it really did. Miles Davis is a fascinating person. And no, he's not a great person by any means. Yes, he had a violent, past with women that he was with. And yes, he did, huge amounts of drugs and basically ruined his career a couple times. But came back out of it, and that's the documentary that I found out about Elevator from the Gallows. Well, I'd heard about the movie, but that's the documentary that, tuned me into his score for it and the process of him making that score. And yeah, it was a really beautiful documentary, I thought, and I did get, a little misty-eyed during it, that it just, I really enjoy reading.
You won't see the engineer that slams the Nissan Rogue's door 13,920 times. Or the corrosive chamber that simulates 15 years of life in 5 months. Or the Rogue heat-baked for over 300 combined hours. What you will see is a vehicle that can take punch after punch and keep rolling. Nissan, #1 in new vehicle quality among mainstream brands by J.D. Power. We put it through the worst, so you get its best. For J.D. Power 2025 U.S. Initial Quality Study Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Awards based on 2025 model year. Newer models may be shown.
And watching things about people who have passions like that and who follow their dreams and their callings, and even through the really shitty aspects of it, that energy and motivation to keep going through whatever you're trying, keep going to keep creating and keep up that momentum, even through drug addiction or, you know, heavy loss or just anything, just a creative block, something. It's just really relatable. It's nice to see, like, people like Miles Davis. Yeah, he's Miles Davis. Everybody fucking knows who that is. He's one of the biggest names in jazz. He revolutionized jazz. Like, he changed how jazz was thought many times, totally changed the genre multiple times. And even he felt, you know, self-conscious about what he was doing and felt like he was no good at it at times. And that just boggles my mind because it's Miles Davis and everything. He, like, every fucking note he played is like butter. Like, it's just gorgeous. But to know that somebody like that still has those doubts is just, it's nice and it's a connecting tissue, I think, that a lot of people can understand and relate to. And it really touched me. So, yeah, I don't know if that person had a bad time with the movie, but maybe they just need to revisit and listen to a few records after that and digest it more.
As for me, my favorite film that I watched in 2019 is not the one I had originally written down. It is a film that I was very much late to the party with. And it is a film that the more I thought about it this afternoon and in the last couple days since we decided we were doing this, I was thinking to myself, I was like, what is the one film that I think about that I watched in 2019 that really resonated with me, that really left an impression on me, that really kind of maybe pushed me to think about things a certain way or think about things in a different way or readdress myself or my relationships with people. And the film that I watched in 2019 is Birth of a Nation. I am just kidding. I am kidding, but that was a pretty good lead up to a really bad joke. That was a really, really bad joke. It would have been like saying the best book I read in 2019 was fucking Mein Kampf. Which, let's be honest, it totally wasn't that. My favorite film that I watched in 2019 was actually, and again, you know what, you might not like it, and I know a lot of people out there are divisive on this director, is Her by Spike Jonze.
I've never seen it.
I don't like Joaquin Phoenix. Like, I find Joaquin Phoenix to be exhausting as an actor. He is in the mold of Daniel Day-Lewis. I am an actor.
A method actor?
Yeah, cool, dude. Whatever, man. That's you, dude. Like, you do you, but, like, you know, not
I can't stand to watch
that.
his interviews.
Yeah, he's such a fucking weirdo. And it's like, but it feels like he's a weirdo because he wants to be. Not because
it feels like a little forced.
Yeah, he's not Jeff Goldblum. I genuinely believe Jeff Goldblum is like a complete and utter wackazoid.
Right.
And, like, you know what? If that's an act,
like Joaquin Phoenix just goes home and is just a normal guy every night.
Yeah. He turns over in bed to Rooney Mara.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, you think I was weird enough? And she looks at him as she's stuffing her face full of a pie from A Ghost Story and goes, no, I don't think so. Which, by the way, A Ghost Story, oh my god.
I didn't see that either.
I love that movie. Oh my god. You want to talk about a movie that will make you, like, feel things that cinema doesn't do very often, for me at least. It's actually kind of in the same vein as Her, because I technically watched both of them this year. So, you know, I'm not... And you and I have talked about this. I am not a person who is one of those quote-unquote guys who is not willing to talk about his feelings or emotions, or isn't, like, emotionally available for other people, and or isn't willing to talk with other people about their emotions and, like, be emotionally open with people.
Right.
And I think that that's something that really gets lost in today's culture, and I'm glad that we, as a society, and men as a gender, are moving into a realm of being more accepting about when a guy needs to talk about his feelings, or when a guy, you don't even need to. You should just be able to. Like, there should be no fucking stigmatism if you want to be talking about how you feel about things. You shouldn't press it down and press it down. Our fathers and grandfathers did that enough, either by choice or by necessity, and we don't need to do that anymore. And, you know, with a movie like Her, where it is a story about a guy who keeps pushing it down and pushing it down and pushing down his feelings about what happened with the failure between him and his ex-wife, with their relationship, you know, it's a story that really resonates with me because there was a time where I was like that. And, you know, you watch a film about a guy who's connecting with technology. He's connecting with his phone and the AI, and then the AI takes him on this journey of kind of self-discovery of things that were already there, and who he is, and who he can be, and who he wants to be, and who he may, you know, very well be. And then the AI finds in herself as well who she is, and goes on and leaves him. And, you know, it's a touching story. And it's just one of those movies where, like, I went into it not expecting much, because Spike Jonze, to me, kind of in the same vein as Wes Anderson, you know, there's some things that I've seen that I've liked.
Just make
There's
pretty
some
movies that are kind of empty feeling.
Yeah, but, you know, I walked away from her going, this may be one of the most accurate depictions of a relationship I've ever seen. And it's between a man and his phone. And I know that's like, I know that is really taking it at like a really like narrow look at it. Like,
right.
You know,
for all intents and purposes, that's what the story is, though. Yeah,
but it's so much more than that. And I don't want to talk it up too much, because I know I'm going to disappoint someone if they go and watch it and they go, this is not what you said. But honestly, it is one of those films where, when I was done watching it, I was excited to talk about it because I felt like I had a lot to say. We did a podcast on it. We didn't really talk about it a whole lot because we ended up getting off topic over and over and over again. But yeah, it really resonated with me. And at the end of the film, when you go on this journey with these two characters, it's really a story that resonated with me. And I mean, I think that personally, if the best film that you watch in a year is the film that resonates with you the most, then the film has done its job. And Her is right there with A Ghost Story. And A Ghost Story, honestly, I've talked too much about Her to give A Ghost Story enough time to breathe. And A Ghost Story is just, if Her is about finding yourself in a relationship, A Ghost Story is about finding the way to let go. And it is, yeah, it's tragically moving in a way that film normally isn't. And it's minimalist. It's, yeah, A Ghost Story is a film, just, I don't need to try to explain it. Go and watch it. It's
I'll have to check both out.
Yeah. They're a good double feature if you really want to, like, get kicked in the feels twice hard.
Sit a whole day of crying.
Yeah, just like,
I'll top it off with Elephant Man.
The next movie? Oh, God, wow. Yeah. Oh, boy. So that's it for us. Is there anything we missed? Anything we skipped? Anything you want to add?
I don't think so. I think this puts 2019 officially to bed.
Puts it down. We locked it in the cage. We put the gun to its head and said, good night.
Yep.
Boy, what a year 2019 was, right?
It sure was a year.
I wanted to put favorite film that I watched, The Tingler, because we watched it, the four of us together.
We did. And
we did. It was a good
fantastic.
The Tingler's, and it was better because the company it was in, for sure. And like, you know, that was, because my wife and I went and visited Jess and her husband, and that was a fun time. And that was, you know, The Tingler. And,
that was a big thing this year.
And I swear to God, with the fucking hamburgers, just now it's like a daily text.
So
you're just like ... hamburgers. It's like, no,
I'm at Swenson's. What's up?
Oh, no, but let's take a brief break and we'll play a preview for the next Kulturecast.
Hi. Help you, mister?
Have you got a telephone?
Out and back.
This way?
Something for your car?
Well, you can, put what ethyl you can get in the tank.
All righty.
Would you mind checking those radiator hoses?
I'll do that. Take a look at my snakes if you have time.
Weird place for a telephone booth.
Operator
like to report a truck driver that's been endangering my life.
In that case, I'll have to give you the police, sir.
Right, well, give me the police.
Sir, which department do you want?
Whichever's closer.
What number are you calling from?
This number is 9821.
What's your name, sir?
David Mann.
How do you spell that, please?
M-A-N-N, that's 2 N's. I'd like to report a truck driver that's been endangering my life. Name again? David Mann.
So in the next Kulturecast, we are going to be talking about Duel, not Dunal. We're going to be talking about Duel, which is Steven Spielberg's first film, quote unquote. 1971. It's a movie. We'll get more into it when we do that podcast. Until then, where can people find you, Jess?
You can find me on Twitter at WriterJessByard, and you can also find me if you're interested in weird collages and visual art for however long I managed to keep this up. You can follow me on Instagram as well at, I believe it's Practiced Amateur. The link is in my Twitter bio, so you can find it there. And you can also find me on our podcast, Chris, The One Season Show, which we are right in the middle of season 2, so plenty of time to catch up.
I was going to say, I am not going to let you stop making art. If you're like, stop posting, I'll be like, Jess, why aren't you posting art? Art, that's what friends are for. We're supposed to motivate each other.
Exactly.
If I fell off the face of the earth with the podcast, I would hope you'd be like, Chris,
yeah, I'd be like, hey, what the fuck?
What the fuck, dude? Like, what are you doing? As for myself, you can follow me on Twitter at casualty_Chris. I'm not giving that one up. That's mine now, so fucking deal with it. What else? Podcast, Kulturecast.com, Patreon, give money, please. We like if you do, cool. If not, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there will be more Patreon exclusives this year. I see
think
that
so,
happening.
yeah. As opposed to like 1 or 2. Big thanks to all the Patreon supporters. You guys are great. There's a couple of you, and you know what? 1 is more than enough. I'm not saying that to just... Okay, that came out wrong. Never mind.
We are grateful for 1 is what you meant,
yeah,
I think.
We are grateful for 1.
We would be very much more grateful if more of you joined in, but even to have 1 person is pretty astounding.
If you give me your hard-earned money, thank you from the bottom of my cold, dark heart. Chronicles from the Crypt is a podcast I do about Tales from the Crypt. Dreams for Sale is a podcast I do about Twilight Zone. And the Barney Miller unnamed podcast. I don't know if it has a name. I haven't recorded a podcast episode for it yet. So when it has a name, I'll tell you. But until then, it's a Barney Miller podcast coming soon. And yeah, it's 2019. What a year. That's all I can say, really. What a year. And you know what?
I'm looking forward to more
go fuck
podcasting in
themselves.
2020.
Yeah,
They
me
sure
too.
can.
I really am. And yeah, Oscars go fuck themselves. And we'll catch you on the next episode.